Hello everybody, Farron in here with Agix, Lexer, Mew, and Scar once again for what I believe is episode 9 of Judge It, though I currently have one I haven't finished editing, so I'm not sure about that. And yeah, we're about to take a look at a map themed by ZSL submission for the Tube competition, as well as challenged to redo the concept of what is essentially my original map, my first ever sand map.
You did it this time.
I did it.
Check out the AFK.
Yay! Yes, please do check out the AFK.
Oh, bumpy tube.
I hope I don't have to drive on that.
Jeez.
I have no idea what that you're referring to is, but if you're still on the AFK, then you probably do.
I missed the. Was I supposed to go in the death block on the AFK?
I mean, that's entirely up to you.
I missed it. Well, if it's an AFK, then I'm not doing anything.
Yeah. So, you're supposed to hit the death block with the AFK, but unfortunately it turns out that fans and sand create some level of random that I had some fun messing with. But
Classic Unity.
you can, also drive the entire original track from the AFK. And if you
Yeah, I
do,
noticed that.
you can actually get back onto this and continue it as just one giant track. Not that that's the easiest thing in the world to accomplish.
Nice.
You literally have beaten the best I could put down already. That's a thing.
I'm liking this a lot.
Good, good.
The
Between-
both of the loops, CP3 loop and then the outer tube, is a lot easier in first person.
Yeah, I was switching for that.
Oh yeah, maybe put that in.
I mean, there's an argument. There's an argument that it's up to the player.
That's true.
I can't really do anything reasonably in first person in this game. It's just not comfortable for me, but I might put in an optional switch gate if you think that would be a good idea.
Well, that
Nah,
tube-
I don't do optionals.
The outer tube looked scary to me, but it was actually pretty simple. Oh, also I'm slow though.
Lexer and I spent a fairly large
Yeah,
amount of
you're
time
welcome for that one.
fine-tuning that. I was trying to make it much worse, and the Lexer was like, you might want to just use outer or off-road wheels.
Between checkpoint 1 and 2, it's almost AFK.
Almost. I think I'd actually like you to pay close attention to that and see how you feel as you go. The oil is kind of a marker of where you want to get over to, and I've not been able to do that in just one smooth maneuver. Of course, I'm playing on keyboard equivalent inputs, so that's a factor, but definitely, since this hasn't been submitted yet, if you still feel that way towards the end and can think of anything I can do about it,
Oh,
let me
Lord.
know.
I flew over the off-road tires.
Uh-oh.
I'm not having a great time trying to put down a good time on this map. This is actually the first time I'm playing it with my normal controller. I've just been doing mouse and keyboard the entire time because building is slightly easier for me to do that.
It's hard not to slide out on this loop.
That was kind of the goal. You mean like the checkpoint 3 loop, the early one?
Yeah, CP3.
Yeah. I was specifically told to keep something that embodies the difficulty of the original nonsense spiral. So I wanted to keep it still pretty easy to mess that up, but that's also why I put it as early as it is in the map.
I'm much happier with it than on the original.
Understandable.
I don't think the space between CP1 and 2 is too AFK. I mean, like, I do some fine adjustments to get it exactly how I want it, so
If you're hitting the
it can
full...
be AFK if you want it to be, but you can do some fine-tuning.
It's definitely better with inputs. If you hit the full
Right.
192 jumping onto it and you don't touch anything, it doesn't end very well.
The sand tube kind of gives you a little bit of a pull that you have to correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
No
true.
matter
I
what.
think it's fine. I'm having a hard time figuring out where to take off with this CP4 jump, though. But that's just a skill issue, that's not the map.
So, if you're got pretty much full speed, the center line on the road is pretty close to perfect. It's at least as close to perfect as I could get it with save state speed. I did not actually speed boost that jump to check it because it's so early. I don't really think with how fast this map is that anyone's going to be going too much faster. Though I am looking at what
They can
Lexer's
always
doing and I'm questioning
adjust.
that.
I think you can always adjust your angle to make it a fine landing, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't
It's
worry
hard
about
to
it.
jump. Oh, that was gross what I just did. Hold on, is this faster?
Did you find
Is
some
this-
kind of tech?
I slid a little. I kind of got a wheel hook on the loop.
Yes,
Is this
there is a
arrow
wheel hook on the
intangible?
first. Is this
Oh
what,
yeah,
intentional?
you could do like the first loop almost completely in it. Yeah.
In the tube, is the arrow intangible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
And then it's not obvious that there's a fan on the off-road landing. Like, you want to land as low as possible to get as much fan as you can. But I didn't know that until I just did it.
I tried to leave the fan visible enough to not have that problem. My bad. I'm wondering if just adding a roof above that might make that clearer. Like if there was something you could hit your head on above the checkpoint to encourage you to jump low.
I don't think
I
that's a
don't
good
think
idea.
that. No.
I think
It's
people
not the
should
way to
still
fix
be
it.
able to jump high.
It adds a level of skill to the map.
Maybe just like some intangible marking on the ground that indicates there's a fan. I mean, yeah, that there's wind.
I've not actually seen anything like that before. How could I go about doing that?
I
Just do
think
a mark, like a line where it starts affecting you. Maybe.
I've also seen like I think Shady Nook and me do like wind icons
Yeah.
on the road.
Gotcha. Okay, I could definitely look into that. Oh. Oh. That's how he's so much faster. Lexer's doing a little piece of tech at the start that's getting him 10 extra speed.
Am I?
I saw a 202 when you landed, or when you went. Well, I think so.
It's 192 at the.
I'm trying to
at the
keep exact
checkpoint.
track. The
Yeah,
second
192
checkpoint.
at the checkpoint, but then
Oh no,
202
you're
after
still
the
at
landing.
185, 186, so you're not that much faster. That's just the landing, you're landing in a different spot, so it looks different.
The thing with the sand pipe at the start is that there's a speed cap, and that going lower while you're at the speed cap is meaningless.
Definitely. Oh, that's
I
something you're doing.
that's no, don't worry about that. I was still
That's...
in first person and got confused.
Ah, okay. Fascinating. There's definitely a lot of tech that I left in this map that was not necessarily on purpose, but I'm not unhappy it's there.
I don't like that jump.
I stopped watching you. Which jump in particular?
After the loop CP4, I think.
Yeah, I don't really like
Jumping
it
It's
into the
either.
like
big tube.
it's too far away for me to judge how to take it. Like I can't.
Yeah, the landing doesn't feel easy to find.
And the landing's kind of blocked by the tube, so you don't, like, it's hard to see what actual angle you need to land at.
Yeah, it's not my favorite part of the map either. If we have any recommendations that can maintain the same speed and performance, I'm down to making adjustments on that.
It might be as simple as just changing the size of the tube or the shape or position of it.
Like, maybe if you landed on the side of the tube instead of in the middle.
I was trying to get it so you could land on the side, and I've just not been able to position it correctly. Okay. I'll have to give a few tries to that.
It might just be move everything like 16 closer to it. Just make the distance of the jump shorter.
We'll definitely spend a little while fiddling with that, because that's also my least favorite part of the main track there so far.
Oh my god, I love this AFK.
I spent longer than I probably should have on building the AFK as a functional connection.
So what I did on my ZSL map, I had a very similar maneuver to this. I did the camera change, and I feel if people don't want it first person, then they can switch it back, but it just feels natively easier if you're not in
My
just
problem with
the
that is I have
whatever.
to literally reach off of my controls and hit my keyboard in order to change that.
Hmm.
Like, all of my convenient buttons are taken up already.
And I could totally see why you'd make the decision you did from a mapper's perspective with that.
Oh, it's a little bit harder at more speed, but it's still fine.
Oh yes, it's significantly harder at more speed. I like to have a bit of a, the better you're doing, the harder the map is kind of trade-off.
I think I would force first person.
I would too. Even if I'm going to change it, I know that other people don't use static as much third as much as I do. So I would choose first person as well.
So what exactly is the problem with having it as an optional?
It screws with the lines.
Yeah, because you have to go through you have to change your trajectory to go through one or the other gate, which means if you pick one of the gate, it could be inherently slower.
I could 50-50 split it, but my general problem is I myself cannot play with it that way. Like, I'm hesitant to do something that requires you to pick your hand up and press a button on your keyboard.
I have my change camera on my controller.
Yeah. I am one of only 2 people that plays this way, so it might just have to be.
Yeah. I was gonna say most people either are playing on keyboard or controller and can put it on the device that they're playing on.
For ZSL purposes, it makes more sense to have it be automatic.
Gotcha.
I think like the skilled people at this game are not going to have any problem with it, and they may choose to change or not. The less skilled people, I think, are just going to get skill checked by the outer tube, and they won't think to change their camera on their own.
I laugh at you, of all people, saying something about a skill check. I still can't believe you complete your golf map.
Don't blame me for that.
Fair
I
enough.
blame Nick.
I'm trying so hard to catch up to the good times, and it's not going well.
So then, if you were to do it first person, I would switch back to third at the final checkpoint
Yeah.
once you get to the inside tube.
Yes.
And then one other super small thing, I would move the off-road gate to the very edge of that road piece.
So, the reason I didn't move it to the edge is if you have the full tires, it was very springy and kept causing me to bounce back up and not be able to get into the tube if it was earlier. I
The
genuinely don't understand why.
At the fan part.
Oh, the other edge? Move it further?
yeah,
Yeah, okay. That
yeah.
would be
Because if
reasonable.
you land too early, you get the suspension change like right as you're landing,
Gotcha.
and it's really weird. Like if you could just guarantee that it happens in the air, that would be the best case scenario.
I'm very surprised that you're finding it easier to do that outer tube in first. I'm consistently having a way harder time trying to do that if I have my camera angle strange. Or rather, I haven't switched the camera angle, but like when I was building the map, when I tried doing that with the other camera angle, it was like, what is it that makes the third person harder for that? Is there something you can't see, or?
I think it's hard to judge gravity versus your where your tires are.
Oh wow, that is a lot easier in first person.
Okay.
I think in first person, your brain ignores gravity and it's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
In third person, you're thinking too much about, I don't know.
You have
Gotcha.
to focus on orientation.
Yeah, you just kind of put your car where it needs to be in first person.
And then with the in third person, the being upside down inverts your steering relative to the camera, and it just gets all twisty, screwy. And in first person, it's immediately in line with the camera and all that.
I haven't noticed any steering changes between the cameras. That's interesting.
It's more of a brain thing.
Man, I can't get above a 53 for some reason. I'm gonna drive this with my keyboard and see what happens.
I don't know if it's just me, but I'm also not getting that last tube entry very smooth. Maybe there's a line I'm missing.
But I wasn't either. It was a little sloppy for me every time.
I am on my way over to the original
Land it
map.
more towards the edge, it'll be smoother.
I was wondering if I would even get in the tube if I was on the edge.
It's
Or
more
if I would miss
lenient
it.
than you might think.
It's also off-road tires, which is a little friendlier on hard landings.
That's true.
absolutely cannot do this well today.
It's kind of hard to get better at this track.
Yeah.
This is the person who's currently 5 seconds ahead of me.
Once you get the first turn, like as good as it can get, it's hard to really do better than that. After
Yeah,
it's just getting the rest clean, but that or I guess the first loop thing.
the first
Yeah.
pair is definitely insanely important. There's more of a speed conservation type aspect to this map than I meant there to be. Normally, I like high-speed maps to knock that out a
No.
bit, but if you don't get this 186 at checkpoint 2, then the rest of your run is just kind of weird. So, I know Agix and Scar have gone over to check out the AFK. Lexer, Mew, have you?
I mean, you showed me while you were
Oh,
building it,
true.
so.
Not much point for you.
I mean, I was literally gushing over it.
Oh, yes, you were. I forgot. Uh, I I finally
I think that's the best AFK you could have possibly done.
I'm glad.
I like the Anubis deco.
Ah, I'm glad that you could tell. I that
I mean,
Anubis,
it's got a weirdly long snout, but
yeah, trying to build that is the single hardest piece of deco I've ever accomplished. So let's talk about that final jump, where we've got to move that to make it better. Because currently it's pretty uncomfortable in my opinion. Is it, do we think more
It's not as
left?
bad as the other jump.
I mean, you're not wrong, but I already knew that one was bad going into it. Just wanted to see if there was just a
Into
skill
the
issue.
inner tube, is that what you guys are talking about?
Yeah, the small inner.
Maybe just like 1.6 up,
Yeah.
just so you're not falling as hard into it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just move it up so that you're going straight instead of down.
Gotcha. Overall, I know two of you are ZSL judges. If I hadn't spoken to you first, as is, how do we feel about this one getting through?
It'd really depend on all the other ones.
On the other submissions or the other judges?
I think there is a like threshold where I say no, this is not worth playing even if I don't get my full submissions. And this is better than that threshold,
Okay.
so it
Yeah,
comes
this would
down to
go.
what the other maps are.
This would for me be a maybe or perhaps a maybe yes on my ranking system, which is uh could make it in, we'll say.
And do we think with those three changes that's going to affect that?
Yes.
Yeah.
What could I have done better as far as the base design to have it just be more comfortable of a, oh yeah, I want that.
I think it really comes down to the changes.
Okay. Definitely think I'll submit to the first person camera change. I'm going to spend a long time probably fiddling with the bigger tube jump. if I if I change that to not be a tube jump, I feel like that's going to be pushing away from the theme a little bit too much.
No, it's supposed to be 25% tubes, so I think you're still fine.
Well, let's see how long it is.
Just a reminder, submissions close in 20 hours.
Yes.
So you only have so much of a long time.
Well, I built the entire map in closer to 12 hours, so I gotta say, I've been getting quite a speed boost by doing these episodes with you guys, because I'm a bit of a procrastinator, definitely a bit of a last minute kind of person, and so I keep having to build entire maps in a day or two beforehand. This
I
is
feel that.
one of the first maps that I've actually taken my time, but that does not
Yeah,
necessarily
this is
mean
like
total
this is like
hours.
50. It's like 50% tube.
Okay.
So removing a couple tubes would not be a problem.
Well, do we think then that it would be better for me to just transfer that giant tube to a more comfortable non-tube jump? Or should I at least fool around with keeping it in its general vein first?
I personally feel like keeping it as a tube is more respectful to the original.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think I like the jump out of the tube. So I don't
Yeah.
really want to change the tube aspect.
I think it's mostly move the tube a little closer, see if you can land on the side of it instead of the center. But a tube still fine.
What have I done? That is fast.
Oh no. What was 0.2 up?
I really like the use of a ghost for the doggo snoot.
I love that you're actually looking at the deco that closely.
I was wondering how you were gonna actually like get the good shape for it, and it's a really good piece for it.
So I've just realized a little problem with moving the off-road tires further. That also means landing without the traction, and if you land that late, you're not going to be able to turn in time.
No, moving it closer so that you get the off-road wheels earlier.
Was that what we were talking about? I thought we were talking about moving it closer to the fan.
No,
No.
closer. No.
Yeah, closer to the landing.
So that you're 100% guaranteed to hit it in the air.
Gotcha. I'm glad that I misunderstood that and checked, cause I would have moved it the wrong direction. Well, we've somehow spent an entire half an hour on this already.
Wow.
That's a fairly good sign in my opinion. Took me this long to finally get another good time. But, yeah, I think we've pretty much covered the gist of everything.
Yeah.
Agix, Lexer, you got any, oh, and Scar, you got any comments on the decoration? Also, Mew, if you tell me that I did too much decoration outside the map this time.
What? I've never said that. I encourage it. I like those little touches. It's the spice that you don't know what it is. It's the secret ingredient.
My last two videos on, specifically the one with that horrible ATV styled rally map, or derby rather. I'm pretty sure I got told not to do parking lots outside the map again.
That okay. Okay, yes, I remember that. Okay. I think it was mostly just the quantity of pieces outside the map that you would never. It felt too dense for it to be
Ah,
spice.
okay. That's actually That's actually a really
I
useful
think was
note.
what I meant.
Cool. I'm glad that people approve of this AFK. I wasn't sure
Awesome.
if this idea was going to be like a dude, seriously, or something that other people appreciated. I honestly think my favorite part of the AFK though is the use of the old tornado. Actually, I think before we even started recording, I think it was Alex was saying that he thought the use of wind particles, the way I did for the tornado on this OG map, was the one thing he actually liked about it. And so being able to kind of use that as part of the AFK maneuver, I thought was really fun. That being said, I can't do this at 100, sorry, at 190 speed.
Turn around.
How do you guys do your steering limits with controller?
I
Do mine on
have.
D-pad.
I used to do that. I have mine on the bumpers, and then
It's
on.
miscellaneous. Whatever buttons were left.
Yeah, pretty much. I have two on
I have
bumpers.
70 and 80 on the right stick, left and right.
What?
On my, I have right stick pushed down for 70, but my
Oh,
cameras
I
are on my
currently
right stick.
have 60 and 90 on my D-pad.
I'm playing with psychopaths.
Hey, at least it's not a both my triggers are brakes situation.
All I have bound is 70% and it's on X.
Logical. I play on fight stick, which is very different, but I have all of my shoulder buttons, so both bumpers, both triggers, as steering limits. And even when I was trying with controller, I still had that, because braking with the triggers in this game is just inefficient. The number of times you want to flicker it is so bad when you have input delay from push distance, so...
That's why I have two triggers.
So I have brake on my left trigger and on B, and I'm finding more and more that I'm using B.
Yeah,
I have only
It's
brake
more
on B.
precise.
exactly. And same for the arms up.
My arms up is just on right trigger though.
My
For
arms
me
up's
it's on
on
A.
Y.
Well, we're all just psychos. Agix, was that you I just saw taking the skip on the
On the long route, on the AF.
AFK?
Yeah. Yeah, I just did a skip after spending a minute doing
Yeah,
something that's not required.
it's kind of funny.
Is it normal to drive pretty much by default at 70%?
I mean, I
Mm,
auto to 80% on every map unless I absolutely have to change it. It just,
I drive
I
at
think
Yeah,
that's
100%.
fair.
I think of 70 as baseline, and then I have 30 extra percent of steering that I could bust out if I have to, at the risk of
That's
more easy smoking.
actually a pretty good way to look at that.
yeah, that's more or less the same concept I have. I always start at 80 because it's so much easier to open up in a turn than it is to apply steering after you started skidding.
I
I
also only
definitely
found
do
70 because that's
100.
70 is the backwards steering limit, right?
That's
Or
something I
so I
don't know
hear.
about.
If you said it's a
Or
70,
80.
it's basically like
Depends.
It's
clean.
totally map dependent. I
Oh
think.
yeah, it took me 2 minutes and 42 seconds, but I put in a complete run, so I actually get to include that in the video. Woohoo!
Goodness.
Scar, how is this track for somebody with way less hours in the game? Is it still enjoyable?
Yeah, the only thing I was having a really hard time with, I was trying to put down a time, was the tube, the upside down tube that everyone
outer
was talking
corkscrew.
about for the
Yeah.
camera. Yeah,
And did you find that switching the camera made it easy enough to be reasonable?
for me at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, no offense to anybody else here, but having the less experienced players say that, in my opinion, is more of a reason to do it than having the pro players have it as a preference. If it's easier for a newer player, then more people are going to enjoy the map.
I think
Not
you could take my
most
advice on outer tubes. I'm practically a noob.
I gotta say, it is kind of interesting with how much our general concepts align as far as what we enjoy, how much that one
It
aspect is
is
different.
funny. We were talking a bit about maps we like last night, and it's like, yeah, we we like the exact same style of map.
Well, there's one thing left to do for today. Um, let's see. Mew, sort of, this was half your idea. I don't remember who got the ZSL vote. Was that your doing, Lexer?
That was me. Yep.
Okay, then I guess Agix and Scar. Do bear in mind that the end goal is making a good Cup of the Day map that actually gets played for Cup. So,
Yeah.
if we could avoid turning around mid-air jumps. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. But what do we got for the next map here?
um,
I was thinking. Oh, go ahead.
I was thinking of doing like a focus on using banked pieces.
Okay. Are we talking more on the side of banked and therefore it's hard because you skid out like a crazy person, or just funny tech, or just having banked turns?
That's up to you. Just
The
have
the
the
folder
have
from the piece library that has all the banked turns.
Also, I've
yeah,
just
there are
learned something
two
horrible
different
on this map.
folders.
If you fly off of uh the first corkscrew piece almost perfectly straight, you can land that giant jump nearly perfectly, and weird things happen. I had a way more speed. I kind of messed it up at the end there. I don't think I would have hit that 48, but how can we maybe improve that without messing up the second jump? I'm half wondering if just putting a literal downhill to inner tube transition so that you land flat but smoothly might be the way to go.
Which transition are we talking about? I'm not
After
following.
checkpoint 4, landing into the giant tube, the one that nobody likes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I were to make that literally a flat downhill into a smooth transition onto the tube, if that would maybe be better.
Maybe.
Also, sorry, I got distracted questioning that. So we're doing banked turns. Scar, you had a twist for that? Or a second piece?
I was thinking something with bobsleds, but don't base the whole map on ice. Just
So, half ice banked turns?
Yeah. You can definitely do some interesting. You can definitely do some good bobsled with using banked turns too. It doesn't just have to be tubes.
Also, weird side question. If this were, on the heels of today's 50-second long Cup of the Day track, if this were in Cup, would you lose your mind?
Possibly just because of that jump.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Cool. It's by far the longest Cup we've had in a while.
I don't know if I'd
Oh,
lose
yeah.
my mind, but I'd certainly DNF.
yeah, same.
I think the thing with this map is it seems, and I don't know why, it seems inconsistent to get very fast times. So I think that would lead to me over optimizing in a 2-minute timer.
Yeah, I definitely can say a fast run in 2 minutes is pretty difficult to hit.
Yeah.
Like, I've been getting massive improvements on my start, and it's very much resulting in me not finishing. Okay. So, one other question. If I do make this giant tube a flat landing, would I want to move it further to the right?
I don't think you need to.
Okay. So the main things then, just to recap here,
Whoa. Sorry.
were,
You know that off-road I told you to move?
yeah,
I just hit the off-road wheel where after the chassis change I had one wheel on the ground and it just flung me off the map.
Oh,
New tech.
So what I'm hearing is definitely move that.
Let me call Arms Up Airport and see what kind of garbage they want to cook up with this.
So moving that off-road closer so that you're transitioning more in the air.
Yeah.
Putting a first-person camera before the outer tube. And adjusting the big jump so that it's not quite so stupid. That's about it, right?
and then the last tube, jump to the last tube, move a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Move the final tube up a bit and then put the third person back in.
Yeah.
Right.
Agix,
you
having
guys
the
see
third person is going to put you in normal third, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. What was that, Scar?
Did you guys see that Sandals was in here?
You must have joined fairly recently. No, I didn't. Or was, or it? Oh, yeah, he is. And he's doing 49s.
I feel a little weird about the Omni booster inside the tube.
The Omni booster inside the tube is set to 140. It's barely ever taking effect. It will only hit you if you're, like, skid out right beforehand, and the only reason it's there is because I hate speed checks. And it's not going to
Okay.
give you a good time. It adds, like, 8 seconds if you're going that slow.
I feel like if that's what it's doing, it could be less visually obtrusive.
But boosters with tubes are so hard though.
I know, but if it's just like a safety thing for people who have basically lost all their speed just to simply get a finish, then I don't think it has to be all that super visible. I mean, it should be visible to some
I
degree,
mean, I
but I don't think
promise
it
if
should
I
be
could
taking
turn
up
it to
the whole
glass,
tube.
I would. Unfortunately, somebody made it so you can't recolor boosters.
But like if it's just a safety booster, it could probably just go on the ground and just be clipping through a little bit so it's only barely showing.
Yeah, I might mess with that.
Maybe be a little later in the tube.
I entered the AFK with 5.5 minutes of runtime.
How?
And now I'm playing your old map. Oh, I failed. But I was just driving around.
Nice. So, what do we think of the symbols on the tombstones? If I did my job right, they should be subtle enough that you didn't really think about it, but if you actually look, it's like, fun touch.
I think they fill the space nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like them.
Man, I cannot repeat that.
I
50
noticed, but yeah, I didn't really think much of it.
They're not distracting.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think that's the ultimate thing I'm going for with my decoration style, is just to keep things
Yeah.
simple enough that's not a distraction, but detailed enough that it's not like, why is there so much empty space?
Yeah, that's the hard part with deco.
That's why I don't like it.
I'm also trying to figure out how I'm going to adjust this tube jump. 'Cause every time I go for it, when I get it smoothly, it feels so good, but like, you're completely correct, it's a completely blind jump.
Yeah, you can definitely get it smooth. It's just being able to get it smooth is not easy.
Reminds me of the first jump in Let Her Go.
Yeah, that's true. That one's a little less blind though.
Yeah.
Oh, Lexer, I understand what you're talking about with the wheel change now.
Alright.
I
Yeah.
almost just beat my time and flew off. I finally got the jump low enough to experience the wheels changing. So my only question then is, do I need to make that before? Do I need to make the wheel change before that landing? Because if it's still at the
You
landing, then you're gonna have the
could.
same problem. Yeah.
You could put it. Do you know how wide that block is?
Uh, like off memory, no, but
Oh, I'm on a decent run and I don't want to give it up. Oh, that.
I'm fairly certain it's somewhere in the realm of like 4.487. It's a very odd number.
Where am I? Okay, here we go.
I'm sure the number is perfectly rational.
Yeah, you could. You could
Only because you can only represent rational
move it.
numbers.
Move it to so that the like far end of the force field is connected to the road piece, but you would in theory hit it before you get there. Oh, but would that make it like visually hard to read?
Yeah, that's why I usually don't do checkpoints at the edges of stuff, but
Yeah.
Dang, messed up a good run.
I don't think the um wheel changers I don't think have the square plane option, do they?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, yeah.
That's a shame because
Same with the third person, first person, third person.
Hey,
Both.
my AFK worked. I
I
was
I,
skewing
I'd say
stuff then.
just put it at the end.
Okay.
And the odds of somebody hitting it perfectly at the very edge is so low. It shouldn't matter.
Don't account for the 1%. Gotcha.
Yeah. Anything to make it harder for Mackie to win.
You and Mackie don't even need to win anymore, though.
That's true, I guess.
You
why-
already won.
That's basically how I design my maps, to make them hard for Maki to actually beat.
Alright. We've got a few other maps queued up so that people don't get cranky, but have I missed anything?
Too late.
Have you seen my birthday map?
No, I haven't. We will check that out briefly. Anyway, as far as the actual video side goes, we're going to enjoy editing all of that. Thank you everybody for joining me again today, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Ah.